I don't think anyone's ever spoken about this. This angers me greatly. You see all these casinos, and they talk about responsible gambling, and they're promoting responsible gambling. And it's true. They say only gamble with what you can afford to lose. That's good advice. They also say don't take time away from your family. That's a huge negative, to do this.
They say this because of those rules. It's not like they're saying it out of the benevolence of their heart.
And here's where I'm going. I have yet to see one casino under responsible gambling actually say know the odds of the game, know the house edge, educate yourself, and look to become a better player and to give yourself your best chance of winning. MGM is a big billboard. It says stack the odds in your favor. Always budget what you're going to lose first. And it infuriates me and here's why.
I failed to ask this of Fezzik. I will now. I won $15K. Pardon me. I won $15,000 on UFC 317 promo through MGM in Vegas end of June. My math says it's an $8,000 to $9,000 value. Can you ask Fez about ARV taxes for me? Love the show. Thank you, Mike. We will do that because now it's time for Fezzik Fridays here on A Numbers Game.
Whether it's at the Sportsbook or anywhere else in the casino, he's always helping us find an edge. It's time for Fezzik Fridays.
Starring Steve Fezzik, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, man?
Fridays, it doesn't get any better than this.
It don't get
fireworks in 11 hours at the Legacy Club.
Okay, we'll start with that. Before you just don't even see, we don't want to stray from this gentleman's question. Why do you, as a middle-aged man, can I call you a middle-aged man?
You're being kind.
I'm being kind. Why do you still have the boyish joy when fireworks are upon us? Why?
I'm going to go to Tolkien, who wrote, obviously, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And there's some dark chapters in all that. And one of the best, hidden gems in all of that is, Bilbo's going away party and Gandalf the wizard who's has to face all these dragons and all these bad guys. He's has this brilliant ability, his whimsical side, to make fireworks go up to turn into stars and flowers and dragons. And it's just a great contrast.
I don't know if you answered my question. Why do you love fireworks so much, Steve?
Because my life is so mathematical and like Gandalf and this allows me the playful joyfulness of being a little child.
I see. All right. Well, you know what? That's a beautiful thing. You text us with such joy. Look, fireworks. You remind me of the. I had a Uber driver once. The girls who have the feathers on the strip. They go around in pairs. They're wearing the big feathers on the strip.
And they're so friendly.
Every time we would drive down the strip, he would point them out. Look, there's two more. He was so excited about it. I'm like, really? Every time?
Yeah.
That's you with fireworks. All right, what about this gentleman's question before we move on? He said, you got the question again? Short version, I won $15K UFC 317 promo through MGM in Vegas end of June. My math says it's an $8,000 to $9,000 value. Can you ask Fez about ARV taxes for me? Love the show.
Yeah, so great question. Regarding taxes, I can't speak to whether you're going to be taxed directly from MGM, but any gaming win, you are responsible for paying taxes as it being income. And so the tax you should pay is what you actually wind up winning. And if you took that $15,000 in free play and you just played it against the spread, it would only be worth 50 cents on the dollar, 7,500. However, if they allow you to play it on big underdogs, such as 3-team parlays, for instance, that pay 6 to 1, then it would be worth 75 cents on the dollar to answer his question. So it's worth more like 11, a little over 11,000. So try to play it in 3-team parlays that pay 6 to 1.
There you go, Mike Goosh. Hope that answers it for you. What about this one? Ladies and gentlemen, the VSiN Killer Sports NBA Playoff Challenge. Steve Fezzik, the man sitting to my left here, is your leader. Currently midway-ish through the second round, but it depends on how many picks folks have made. But right now, with a record of 16-9, you're in first place. Zach Cohen at 15-10 on your tail. So is Doug Kazarian, 15-8, actually. Doug in second place, really. But Zach in third there. But you're in the lead. And this tweet I thought from Bobby Geddes was very apropos. He said, Fezzik telling people his contest plays on air sounds like classic Fezzik game theory. Hoping people follow him so they can't catch him. Sneaky, is that your motivation here, sir?
No, I'm just giving out good plays. And, caveat, I never submit my plays until 1 hour before the deadline. And should these numbers move, should I be able to get a better number in the market than in the contest, it won't be a play because I get the best number possible. So
you have not pressed submit on these yet?
No. So 2 minutes before the deadline, if I'm home, I'll play Cleveland Indy under the 229.5 and Oklahoma City Denver under 230 3.5 in the contest. But let's say there's a 231. So let's say that first total steams upwards. I'll just bet it myself, but I won't put it in as a contest play. But
because those are two different animals. Absolutely.
And I treat playing in a contest as being the same. I've got an implied bet, or in this case, the room attendants at Circa have an implied bet because I've donated my money that I would win towards them. I'm sure Mike Palm is like already sweating out how the heck to like figure out how that will be done. Yes.
Okay. Why both unders tonight?
Because it's a trend that if the first game of an NBA series goes over and game 2 goes over, game 3, when they change venues, becomes a 61% play to the under. And it makes a lot of sense because what happens in general, as you progress through a series, and everyone knows game 7s historically go very much under, but the total as familiarity tends to drop as you go from game 1 to 3 to 5 to 6 to 7. And so there tends to be a big drop game 3, but guess what? There isn't a big drop. When games 1 and 2 go over, then everyone's like, oh, these teams can't stop each other. And so there's nothing to suppress the number, so it tends to stay right where it was games 1 or 2, if not be a little higher.
Okay. That makes, I'm not really a trends guy, but if they make some intuitive sense, I'm into it. I get that. Okay. You think you're winning this thing, by the way? You think you're winning this contest?
Well, I mean, I'm not even in first. So Kazarian is 15-8, so he's in first.
Lost column, he's really in first.
Yeah. So I mean, the fact there's what I think I told you there's 5 or 6 guys that can win.
Yeah.
And there's still 5 or 6 guys that can win. So I like my chances. I contest play is a lot different than just picking winners, and I am a contest specialist.
That was a question designed to see how arrogant you were going to be.
Oh, dear.
And you passed the test very well.
Oh, dear. I'm a terrible tennis player. Terrible. Just ask Todd Wishnev.
No, you're getting much better. Especially for your age, you're pretty darn good.
Yeah, the wrong side of 60. It's it may be time to go pickleball. No, I'll retire if it comes to that.
Let's talk baseball here for a second here. You have been all over these bad teams, and you have been undering, if you will, them over and over. Which teams?
Yeah, so I've got 5 of them right now. Baltimore, the Angels, Miami, Pittsburgh, and Colorado. And I've got 5 plays on them. I'm playing all 5 of those teams to go under the total. From memory, because I didn't write it down. I don't know why. I did send it over to Kelly. Baltimore under 74.5, Angels under 69.5, Pittsburgh under 64.5, Miami under 61.5, Colorado, they're god-awful, under 44.5, and
under 44.5.
These teams,
man, are they bad.
It's not just that their records are horrific. If you look at, this is Pythagorean Theorem 101, where, like, if you look at the run differential, all these teams have these negative run differentials anywhere from, like, most of them are in, like, minus 60. Colorado's, like, minus 110. The season's not even a fourth over.
Yeah.
So if you multiply 60 times 4, like, they're going to get outscored by 300 runs. They're all White Sox of last year on pace, and they're going to get worse because they're going to jettison players probably come midseason.
Yeah, the jettison. I always bring up the jettisoning of players mid-season also. But like you look at these teams, the ones that you're mentioning here, first of all, the Orioles didn't buy when they could have won. I doubt they're going to sell now when they suck. So there's that. I guess the Angels have, Tyler Anderson, I guess they could unload. The Marlins, certainly Sandy Alcantara. The Pirates aren't going to unload.
Who's going to want Sandy? He can't pitch a lick this year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Pirates certainly aren't going to load Skeens or Cruz, right, or O'Neill Cruz. But I suppose like Tommy Pham or the great Isaiah Kiner-Falefa will be available. I'm just saying, like, what do they really even have in many cases? But there will be some help for it.
And Skeens will get fewer innings.
Yeah, no, that for sure. I would imagine there would be some kind of load management, because if you suck, why are you putting all that wear on his arm?
And the market is still staying anchored to these teams, thinking, oh, well, pre-flop, the Pirates were lined at 76 wins, so they should win at that rate. And they're not adjusting the power ratings downward enough on all these teams.
I feel like there's an artificial floor. Yeah, but the Rockies are going to push the limits on that for sure. More with Steve Fezzik right here on a numbers game at VSiN, part of Fezzik Fridays, the Sports Betting Network. You have a couple other plays for people. Skubal is on the mound. You like Tarek Skubal.
In Skubal, we trust. And so I don't even want to bother with the bullpen. We're going to play the Tigers' first 5 innings, -0.5, -145. That's the play. And if Detroit gets 2 runs, we're going to win because Scooball's unhittable.
Okay, there it is. And then you have an NBA play in the Celtics-Knicks game, I believe.
I believe you disagree with this. Yes, I am on the series. It's pick'em. I am on Boston. Boston to win the series. Hey, I get it. They can't make their threes. They're down 2. If they had just made shot 34% like they're supposed to from 3, they would have not just won game 1 and 2. They would have covered both of those games. And last time I checked, the Knicks were 0-10 against good teams, and now they're 2-10. So don't give me all this clutch stuff about, maybe there's a little bit to it, but the Knicks are far inferior to Boston. Boston's going to win this series.
Okay. Well, I'm laughing because I'm doing the math in my head. So they were 20, the Celtics in the first 2 games. Remember, they went 15 of 60 from behind the arc, and then they went 10 of 40.
Right.
So 25 of 100. So they missed 75 threes. So if you just do the quick math, 225 possible points. It's just like, that's what they squandered, missing those threes.
Yeah, and then basically 15 points in game 1 and game 2 if they make 5 more threes, which they should have.
Well, should have is a funny word because, variance is a thing. And sometimes, I don't know if you know this, Steve. I don't know if you ever picked up a basketball before. I'm told you have. Sometimes shots just don't fall. And I guess my point is with the Celtics, again, is if that's your entire, there's no workaround. Like the Warriors will do, now we'll just start doing something else, cutting the basket. We'll do all these different things. The Celtics just like, no, we got nothing else. We're just going to, every once in a while, Jaylen Brown will get in his head to drive or Tatum will, and he'll miss layups.
That Black Swan variance events, they're out there. So famously, like when Gilly and I are playing tennis, one time I win 10 out of 11 points, and one time Gill won 15 out of 16. It's unbelievable. And if you watch just those 15 points, you'd be like, Stevie's never going to ever, win a game against Gill, right?
Yeah, it's the roulette wheel thing, right? The person who comes in and sees, there's 25 reds in a row.
Those cost like $50,000 for a casino to install, and they still put them up because think about how much money they make the casino.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Crack and I were talking about some stuff. This sort of jogged something in your head, or maybe it wasn't that conversation, but you wanted to talk about a bit of a contradiction, and it has to do with initiatives for responsible gaming vis-a-vis something else.
Yeah, this actually, I don't think anyone's ever spoken about this. This angers me greatly. Yeah. And what it is, and the reason it angers me is you see all these casinos, and they talk about responsible gambling, and they're promoting responsible gambling, and it's true. They say only gamble with what you can afford to lose. That's good advice. They also say don't take time away from your family. That's a huge negative, to do this. Well, now I guess every golfer in the world, has a gambling problem too, because like every hobby.
By the way, the casinos have compliance rules that they must adhere to. And so they say this because of those rules. It's not like they're saying it out of the benevolence of their heart.
And here's where I'm going. I have yet to see one casino under responsible gambling actually say, know the odds of the game, know the house edge, educate yourself, and look to become a better player and to give yourself your best chance of winning. MGM is a big billboard. It says, stack the odds in your favor, always budget what you're going to lose first. And it infuriates me and here's why. Because like the average slot machine, every time you bet $100 through a slot machine, you're going to lose like 8%. You're going to lose $80. It's the same thing. You bet 100, you're going to lose $8. You're going to lose 8%. Rinse, repeat over and over and over again. If you play a good game like craps, take 2 times odds, it's 0.6%. So to use an analogy, why not educate the consumer? Hey, don't pay $30 for a bottle of beer when you can buy one for $3. And why are you paying $30 for a gallon of gas when you can get it for $4? There's none of that because that would so hit into the profits of the casino.
That's right.
Because the players would lose so much less. And so you look at like the vast majority of folks that have a gambling problem and lose a lot of money, it's twofold. They gamble too much, but they're also playing all these super high-edge games.
I'm surprised we've never had this conversation before because what you're saying is so obvious, right? You're right. Because of compliance rules, you have to have all these disclaimers, gamble responsibly, blah, 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 gamble responsibly, don't go beyond your means, whatever that verbiage is. But yes, if they were truly about that, they would post the casino house edge on everything that is done, even in like a sportsbook, every little, not in a sportsbook, but like at a roulette table, name your casino game, it would be prominently displayed. But as you said, it would cut right into their profits. And there's no compliance rules for them to make it so prominent that everybody is aware of them.
Like there's a game in blackjack. It's a side bet. It's called Easy Bust. What a great name. Easy Bust. The dealer has a bust card up like a 4. You can bet that the dealer will bust. Well, the dealer, it depends on the count, but if you're not card counting, a 4 will break 40% of the time, all right? And this side bet pays even money. So think of it. People are betting black chips. Like they're betting, like dealer says, Easy Bust, and the dealer players are betting $100 on this. Literally, they're losing $20 every time they bet $100. Every time they bet $500, people I've seen do it, betting that 4 will bust. They are losing $100 in 5 seconds. And the dealers are encouraging them to play. And there's nothing educating the consumer. So the number one thing is, and it goes back to, we talk about the Gaming Commission being in bed with the casinos. Oh, they love to talk a big game, but heaven forbid they educate the consumers on which games to avoid and which games give them the best chance to win.
Well, the craps table itself alone is the greatest example of, right? If you're maximizing your odds on the pass or the come or the points, you are minimizing the house edge as best as you can find in the entire casino, short of counting cards, right, where you flip the house edge. But that middle part where you're doing, 12 the hard
on
way,
the hop and
all that stuff, that is just, you're giving money away. And so there is, in a perfect world, what we're talking about, and this is kind of like ridiculous, right, to some point, to think that this would ever happen. But if they were true to all of those things would be posted at each spot.
Right. So if you walked up to a craps table that's called crapless craps, where you establish points at a 2, 3, 12, the house edge on the pass line's a little over 5%. Don't quote me on this. Versus 1.4% on a standard game. So the house edge is 3 times as great. Now, if you take your odds on either one of those, you get your true odds, so it really lowers your overall house edge. So if you take just 2 times odds, you don't even need 5 times odds. On a standard craps table, it's 0.6%. You know what? No casino could exist if they only earned, at a 0.6% rate. And it would be really hard to lose a lot of money, even if you were trying. If you had a restraint. You're not allowed to tip like crazy, and you're not allowed to bet anything but the pass line, taking your odds. Good luck getting into gambling trouble.
Yeah, and it exists in sports. The sports betting equivalent of this is, we know of some spots that. Right. So we always talk about the limiting. Oh, they limit you to this, they limit you to that, because as soon as they think you're doing something nefarious or, oh, my God, you have an edge over them, they will limit you. But if they think, right, if they see someone with lots of cash, and we know of a story of this, right, and I'm talking about like 6 figures, betting exorbitant amounts daily, but they know that they're dishing this guy a bad line, they're happy to take your number. How much? How much more? Would you like to go to the ATM machine and get more? So it's all one-way traffic. Once again.
And this is documented in the movie Owning Mahoney, which I finally saw, where literally they have, a fellow up in Canada that turns out he's getting his funds, from illegal activities, but they're like, we don't want to know where he's getting the money. And it's like, we need to get him money. We'll fly our jet up and we'll bring the cashier to him to give him the money to go gamble with if he can't come to us. And it's like I said, educating the consumer to be a better gambler is not a priority.
And we had a bit of a Camp David, you, me, and a true gentleman, Eric Biggio, over there at Caesars William Hill. The 3 of us sat down and had lunch. And you and he got to air out some grievances. And I wish it's sort of like the Woody Allen thing in Annie Hall, where he brings Marshall McLuhan out from behind the curtain. If only life were like this. So I get it. Not every bettor can have this kind of one-on-one contact, but you thought that went very well, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Eric's a great guy, and I'm no saint in the city. I mean, I'm looking.
You're not.
No, I'm not. And I'm looking to get the money, and and then one day after the meeting, I'm betting, and I see what's this? I want the White Sox under one team I didn't mention because their run differential isn't horrendous, but I played them under 51.5, and of course they're playing Kansas City. And they're losing, and I got offered half the limit I was told I would get. But Eric comes back. He's like, Steve, the White Sox were in action. And I was like, yeah, I know. It's a 162 game season. I mean, come on.
We tried to bridge the gap.